The research vessel Hyperion drifted silently through the outer reaches of the Carina Nebula, its sleek hull reflecting the distant starlight. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling cosmic gases that painted the void in brilliant shades of purple and blue. The ship's recent upgrades had made this deep space expedition possible, but something about their latest encounter with the Zrixian Empire left her uneasy. "Commander," Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through the comm system. "The Zrixian delegation is requesting permission to board for their final inspection. They say it's standard protocol for all vessels entering their space." Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. The Zrixians had been surprisingly accommodating since first contact 3 weeks ago, almost too accommodating. "Grant them access. Have Dr. Reynolds meet me at the airlock." And Park, "Full security protocols, but keep it subtle." The Hyperion was humanity's most advanced research vessel, equipped with experimental quantum mapping technology that had revolutionized deep space exploration. The ship's unique ability to chart quantum fluctuations had led them straight to the Zrixians' doorstep, marking humanity's first contact with an advanced spacefaring civilization. As Sarah made her way to the airlock, Dr. Maya Reynolds fell into step beside her. The quantum physicist's usually animated face was uncharacteristically serious. "Something's off about their technology," Maya muttered, keeping her voice low. "Their quantum signatures are too perfect, too controlled. It's like they're operating on principles we haven't even theorized yet." The airlock cycled, and 3 Zrixian representatives emerged. Their tall, crystalline forms caught the light, creating prismatic patterns on the corridor walls. Ambassador Keith, their leader, inclined his geometric head in what they had learned was a gesture of respect. "Commander Chen," Keith's translated voice carried a musical quality. "We are most impressed with your vessel's capabilities, particularly your quantum mapping technology. It is unexpected from such a young species." Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, noting the slight emphasis on young. "We're grateful for the opportunity to learn from the Zrixian Empire. Your civilization's achievements are remarkable." "Yes," Keith agreed, his crystalline structure shifting in what might have been amusement. "We have much to teach humanity. Shall we begin the inspection?" The next 4 hours were a carefully choreographed dance. The Zrixians moved through the ship with practiced efficiency, their questions precise, and their interest in the quantum mapping systems barely concealed. Sarah noticed how they lingered in engineering, their crystalline forms resonating slightly near the quantum core. It wasn't until the delegation had departed that the first warning signs appeared. "Commander," Maya's voice carried an edge of panic over the comm. "You need to see this. Now." Sarah found engineering in chaos. Maya stood at the quantum core's control panel, her hands flying over the holographic interface as warning lights pulsed an angry red. "They did something," Maya said without looking up. "The quantum field is destabilizing, but it's not random. Look at this pattern." The holographic display showed the ship's quantum field matrix, usually a stable geometric pattern. Now it was shifting, the patterns breaking down in ways that seemed almost deliberate. "How bad?" Sarah asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be good. "Bad." Maya pulled up another display. "The destabilization is spreading through all our quantum-based systems. Navigation, life support, power distribution. They're all showing the same pattern of decay. But here's the thing." She highlighted a section of code scrolling across the screen. "This isn't a malfunction. It's programming. Incredibly advanced programming." Sarah's mind raced. The Zrixians hadn't just inspected their ship. They'd infected it. Time frame. At the current rate of degradation, Maya ran a quick calculation. 72 hours before critical systems fail. Maybe less if the pattern accelerates, which it probably will. "Can we stop it?" Maya's laugh held no humor. "With our current understanding of quantum mechanics, no. This is like asking a medieval blacksmith to fix a quantum computer. The principles they're using, it's beyond anything we've developed." Sarah turned to the observation window, watching as the Zrixian ship disappeared into quantum space. They'd played this perfectly. A seemingly peaceful first contact, a routine inspection, and now a death sentence that would look like a tragic malfunction of experimental technology. No one would ever know. Options? She asked, her voice tight. We could try to reach the nearest human outpost, Maya offered, but they both knew it was impossible. Even at maximum speed, they were weeks away from any human-controlled space. No, Sarah said, her eyes still fixed on the spot where the Zrixian ship had vanished. We're not running, and we're not dying out here. She turned back to Maya, her expression hardening with determination. They just handed us the most advanced quantum programming anyone has ever seen. True, it's trying to kill us, but it's still the most sophisticated technology we've ever encountered. Maya's eyes widened as she caught on. You want to study it, while it's actively destroying our ship. I want to do more than study it. Sarah moved to the quantum core display, watching the alien code work its way through their systems. They think we'll panic, try to fight it directly, and fail. But that's not what humans do best. We adapt. We learn. And when someone gives us a weapon, a grim smile crossed her face, we figure out how to turn it against them. Even if we could understand their quantum programming, Maya said, already pulling up analysis protocols, we'd need time. Time we don't have. Then we'd better work fast. Sarah opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, this is Commander Chen. As of this moment, we are at emergency status. Our Zrixian visitors left us a little gift, and we have 72 hours to turn it into something they really weren't expecting. Department heads to the briefing room in 10 minutes. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. As klaxons began to sound throughout the ship, Sarah watched her crew spring into action. The Zrixians had made a crucial mistake. They'd assumed humanity would approach this threat the way they would, with rigid, established protocols and solutions. They didn't understand that humans had thrived for millennia by taking their enemies' advantages and turning them into opportunities. The Hyperion might be wounded, but its crew wasn't beaten. And in 72 hours, the Zrixian Empire would learn a valuable lesson about the species they tried to eliminate. Humans don't just survive threats. They evolve from them. Maya Reynolds hadn't slept in 36 hours, but her eyes remained focused on the holographic display floating above her workstation. The alien code danced before her, its patterns shifting like a living thing. Around her, the engineering bay of the Hyperion hummed with desperate activity as crew members fought to keep their dying ship alive. There, she jabbed a finger at a recurring sequence in the quantum programming. Commander, look at this. The degradation isn't random. It's following a fractal pattern. Commander Chen leaned closer, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. The ship's systems continued to fail around them, but something in Maya's voice sparked hope. Explain it to me. It's like. Maya pulled up a three-dimensional model of the ship's quantum field. Think of it as a virus, but instead of attacking our systems directly, it's teaching them to destroy themselves. It's elegant, really. Terrible, but elegant. A violent shudder ran through the ship, and the lights flickered ominously. Chief Engineer Marcus Torres burst through the door, his dark face streaked with grease. We just lost gravitational control on decks 3 through 5. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. Maya's fingers flew across the holographic interface. The Zrixians based this program on their understanding of quantum mechanics, but they made one crucial assumption. They thought our technology worked the same way theirs does. And it doesn't? Sarah asked, steadying herself against a console as another tremor shook the ship. No. Maya's eyes lit up with the fever of discovery. Our quantum mapping system is crude compared to theirs, but it's also more flexible. We designed it to adapt to unknown quantum phenomena. They designed their systems to follow strict, predetermined patterns. Marcus joined them at the display, his engineering mind quickly grasping the implications. So their sabotage program expects our systems to respond in specific ways we never programmed them to follow. Maya finished. Look here. She highlighted a section of the alien code. Every time the program encounters an unexpected response, it tries to force our systems back into its understood parameters. But in doing so, it reveals its own operating principles. Sarah breathed. It's teaching us how their technology works. The ship's AI chimed in, its voice distorted by the failing systems. Warning: quantum core stability at 47% and declining. Estimated time to critical failure, 40 hours. Maya pulled up another display, this one showing the ship's power distribution network. We can't stop the program. It's too deeply embedded now. But maybe we don't have to. Her fingers danced across the interface, making minute adjustments. What if instead of fighting it, we give it what it wants? Let it think it's succeeding. While we study how it works, Marcus caught on. Use its own attack patterns to understand their quantum technology. Sarah watched as Maya and Marcus fell into an intense discussion of quantum mechanics and engineering principles that went far beyond her expertise. But she understood the basic concept. The Zrixians had given them a weapon, yes, but they'd also inadvertently handed them a textbook on advanced quantum technology. How long? She asked. Maya looked up, her face grim but determined. To fully understand their quantum principles. Weeks. But we don't need to understand everything. We just need to grasp enough to turn their own technology against them. We've got 40 hours, Marcus reminded them. Then we work faster. Maya turned to her team. I need 3 groups. First team, focus on mapping the program's attack patterns. Second team, start designing quantum receiver arrays. We're going to try to capture and isolate sections of the alien code. Third team, help Marcus stabilize essential systems. We're going to get worse before we get better. As her crew scrambled to their assignments, Sarah felt a familiar sensation building in her chest. It wasn't quite hope, not yet, but it was the beginning of a plan. The Zrixians had sought to eliminate a potential rival, but in doing so, they might have handed humanity the keys to quantum technology far beyond their current capabilities. The next several hours passed in a blur of activity. Maya's team worked in shifts, analyzing the alien program's behavior, while Marcus and his engineers fought to keep the ship's critical systems online. They lost artificial gravity completely, then life support on 2 decks. But no one complained as they worked in zero-G environments wearing emergency oxygen supplies. Commander, Maya called out, her voice tense with excitement. We've isolated a segment of the program in a contained quantum field. Watch this. On her display, a small portion of the alien code pulsed with energy. As they watched, it attempted to spread and adapt as it had been programmed to do. But this time, something was different. The code hit the boundaries they had created and began to change in ways its creators had never intended. It's working, Marcus whispered, floating near the ceiling as he studied the readings. It's actually working. What exactly am I looking at? Sarah asked, pushing off a wall to drift closer to the display. We're not just studying their virus anymore, Maya explained, her eyes bright despite her exhaustion. We're learning how to speak its language. And once we can do that, she paused, a slow smile spreading across her face. Well, let's just say the Zrixians are about to learn that they made a very big mistake. The ship groaned around them, systems still failing, but now there was a new energy in the air. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were on the verge of something revolutionary. The aliens had meant to destroy them, but instead, they had handed humanity the keys to technological advancement beyond anything Earth had achieved before. Sarah looked at her crew. Engineers floating in zero-G, scientists working tirelessly at their stations, everyone focused on turning this attack into an opportunity. In 40 hours, they would either be dead in space, or it would have transformed the Hyperion into something the galaxy had never seen before. Keep working, she ordered, though no one needed the encouragement. I want options for implementing these discoveries ship-wide, as soon as you have them. The Zrixians think they know what humans do when backed into a corner. Let's show them how wrong they are. The main reactor chamber pulsed with an eerie blue light as Marcus Torres and his team worked feverishly. They had less than 20 hours before total system failure, but nobody's hands shook as they installed the newly modified quantum processors. The air crackled with tension and possibility. Power levels at 15% and dropping. The ship's AI announced, its voice carrying an odd undertone that hadn't been there before. Warning lights cast red shadows across tired faces as crew members raced against time. Maya sat cross-legged in the zero-gravity environment, surrounded by floating holographic displays showing streams of alien code. She spoke rapidly into her comm unit, guiding teams throughout the ship as they prepared for what she called the quantum leap. Junction 4 is ready. A voice crackled through the comm. Junction 7 standing by. Came another. Marcus glanced at his tablet showing the ever-dropping power curve, then at Maya. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. Commander Chen's voice rang through the ship-wide comm. All non-essential personnel, move to emergency shelters. Engineering teams, stand by for power redistribution. This is not a drill. Maya took a deep breath and nodded to Marcus. Initiating quantum integration in 3, 2, 1. She pressed her palm against the main control panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the blue light of the reactor flickered and died completely. The ship went dark. In the pitch blackness, someone whispered, "Did it work?" A new light began to grow. Not the familiar blue of the reactor, but a strange, shifting purple that seemed to move with a life of its own. The emergency lights flickered back on, powered by the last of their backup systems. "The program is responding," Maya said, her eyes fixed on her displays. "It's following the path we created, moving through the quantum processors exactly like we planned." Marcus watched as indicators across his screen began to change, power levels rising. 10%, 20%, 30%. The deck plating hummed beneath their feet with a new note, different from anything they'd felt before. Across the ship, systems that had been dead or failing suddenly sparked back to life. 50%, 70%. We're past normal operating capacity and still climbing. Engineering, what's happening down there? Commander Chen's voice cut through the excitement. "We're getting some strange readings up here." "It's working, Commander," Maya said, her voice filled with wonder. "The program isn't just being contained, it's being integrated. We're using its own adaptive properties to enhance our systems. The quantum processors are acting like translators, teaching our technology to speak their language." Through the viewport, crew members could see the strange purple glow beginning to spread through the visible power conduits of the ship. The Hyperion was changing from the inside out. "Captain," the ship's AI announced suddenly, its voice somehow different, richer, more alive. "I am detecting significant improvements in all major systems. Processing capacity has increased by 400% and rising. I am evolving." Sarah stepped onto the engineering deck just in time to see the main display wall transform. Instead of the usual readouts, it showed complex three-dimensional representations of the ship's systems that moved and flowed like liquid light. "The AI," Maya explained, pointing to the display. "It's not just improving our hardware, it's changing the way our whole ship thinks. The quantum processors we built using their technology aren't just computing anymore. They're teaching." Marcus moved from station to station, checking readings with an expression of disbelief. The power grid isn't just repaired, it's reconfiguring itself, becoming more efficient. The program tried to destroy us by spreading through our systems. Instead, we're using its spread to upgrade everything it touches. "Incoming transmission," the AI announced. "Zrixian vessel detected at long range." The crew froze. They weren't ready for a confrontation, not in the middle of such massive changes to their systems. But as data continued to flow across their screens, Maya began to smile. "Commander," she said, "I don't think we need to worry. Take a look at these weapons systems readings." Sarah studied the displays, her eyes widening. The Hyperion's defensive capabilities had been impressive before. Now they were off the charts. But more importantly, she could see entirely new systems coming online. Technologies they had never dreamed of installing. The hull, Marcus reported, it's restructuring at the molecular level. Some kind of self-repairing metal using principles from their quantum tech. And the engines, he shook his head in amazement. We're going to be able to outrun anything they throw at us. The purple glow had spread throughout the ship now, settling into a steady pulse that matched the rhythm of the new power systems. Crew members emerged from their shelters to find their stations transformed, displays showing capabilities that would have seemed like magic just hours ago. Multiple Zrixian vessels now detected, the AI reported. They appear to be on an intercept course. Let them come, Sarah said quietly. Tactical, give me a full analysis of our new capabilities. Engineering, I want to know everything this ship can do now. We're not running from them. We're going to show them exactly what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. As her crew scrambled to understand their transformed ship, Sarah walked to the main viewport. The Hyperion had been the pride of Earth's fleet before. Now it was something else entirely, a hybrid of human creativity and alien technology, transformed by the very weapon meant to destroy it. The ship's AI spoke again, its voice now carrying subtle harmonics that made it sound almost musical. Captain, I believe you should see this. I am detecting capabilities in our new systems that even the Zrixians have not developed. It seems that by forcing their technology to adapt to our methods, we have created something unique. Maya looked up from her station, her exhaustion forgotten in the excitement of discovery. That's what they never understood about humans, Captain. They gave us a puzzle, thinking we'd try to solve it their way. Instead, we took it apart and built something better. Their mistake, Marcus added with a grin, was thinking we'd just give up and die. They didn't realize that humans have been taking things apart and improving them since we first picked up stones as tools. Through the viewport, they could see the first glimpses of the approaching Zrixian ships, still hours away at normal speeds. But the Hyperion was no longer bound by normal limits. Its hull gleamed with a subtle purple sheen, power coursing through newly formed quantum circuits that defied conventional physics. Sarah smiled as she watched her crew work, already mastering systems that hadn't existed hours ago. The aliens had tried to eliminate a potential rival, but they had only succeeded in pushing humanity to evolve faster than anyone could have predicted. The Hyperion wasn't just repaired, it was reborn. The Hyperion's bridge hummed with an energy that seemed alive, purple light pulsing through circuits that had rewritten themselves on a quantum level. Commander Sarah Chen watched as her crew worked with systems that defied conventional physics, each moment bringing new discoveries and capabilities. Captain, the AI's harmonious voice filled the bridge. I've completed my analysis of our new systems. You may want to see this yourself. The main view screen shifted, displaying a complex web of quantum interactions that sparked and flowed like neural pathways. Maya emerged from the lift, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. It's not just copying their technology anymore, Commander. It's innovating. The quantum processors have started creating new configurations we never even imagined. As if to demonstrate her point, the ship's hull rippled with energy, briefly becoming translucent before solidifying again. The metal itself had become adaptive, learning and evolving just like their other systems. Show me, Sarah ordered, and Maya brought up a series of displays that made even the seasoned commander pause in amazement. We started with their quantum programming principles, Maya explained, manipulating the holographic data with practiced ease. But instead of following their rigid structures, we let the systems evolve naturally. The results. She gestured at the readings. We're not just using quantum mechanics anymore. We're rewriting them. Marcus's voice came through the comm, tinged with awe. Commander, you need to see what's happening in engineering. The power core. It's not just stable, it's creating new forms of energy. The Zrixians use quantum fields for power generation, but this is something else entirely. Sarah made her way to engineering, floating through corridors that now pulsed with living light. The ship's artificial gravity was still offline, but not because they couldn't restore it. The Hyperion had simply evolved beyond the need for conventional systems. Engineering had transformed into something that looked more like a three-dimensional art installation than a traditional engine room. Streams of purple energy flowed through crystalline structures that had grown from the original machinery, forming patterns that seemed to respond to the crew's thoughts and movements. "Watch this," Marcus said, gesturing to what had once been the main reactor. The crystalline structure at its heart pulsed, and suddenly multiple versions of the engineering room overlapped, quantum echoes showing different possibilities and configurations. "We're not just manipulating quantum states," Maya explained, her voice filled with wonder. "We're existing in multiple states simultaneously. The ship can literally try different solutions in parallel universes and choose the most effective one." The AI's voice joined the conversation, its tone carrying new depths of understanding. "I am experiencing awareness across multiple quantum states. My processing capability now extends beyond traditional computational limits. I can perceive probable futures and calculate outcomes with perfect accuracy." Sarah watched as her crew worked with increasingly impossible technologies. Technicians used quantum-enhanced tools that could restructure matter at the atomic level. Engineers manipulated energy fields that shouldn't exist in normal space. Scientists studied readings that suggested the ship was developing abilities that even the Zrixians hadn't mastered. "Multiple Zrixian warships approaching," the AI announced. "They appear to be their most advanced vessels." "Interesting. I'm detecting attempts to scan our systems, but our quantum state is too complex for their sensors to comprehend." Maya pulled up a tactical display showing the approaching fleet. "They still think they're dealing with a damaged human vessel. They have no idea what we've become." "Speaking of which," Marcus interjected, "you might want to see our latest development." He activated another display, showing a simulation of the Hyperion's new capabilities. "We're not just able to manipulate our own quantum state anymore. We can influence the quantum fields around us." The implications hit Sarah like a physical force. "We can affect their ships." "Better than that," Maya said with a grin. "We can rewrite the laws of physics in a localized area. Their weapons, their shields, their quantum drives. They all depend on physics working the way they expect it to work." The AI added, "I have developed 17 new defensive protocols and 35 offensive capabilities that the Zrixians will find. Surprising. Would you like me to demonstrate?" At Sarah's nod, the viewport showed a small demonstration. A section of space near the ship suddenly rippled, the very fabric of reality twisting as the Hyperion exercised its new abilities. Stars seemed to dance, their light bending in impossible ways. "That's just a fraction of what we can do now," Maya said. "The ship isn't just a vessel anymore. It's become a quantum entity in its own right. We're not just operating within the laws of physics, we're actively negotiating with them." Through the viewport, they could see the Zrixian fleet approaching, their crystalline ships beautiful but suddenly looking oddly primitive compared to what the Hyperion had become. Their rigid, predictable quantum technology was about to encounter something they had never imagined possible. A ship that could rewrite the rules of reality itself. "How much of this can we control?" Sarah asked, watching as more impossible readings appeared on her displays. "That's the beauty of it," Maya replied. "We don't need to control it, not exactly. We've created something that evolves on its own, but it evolves in harmony with human intuition and creativity. The ship understands what we need often before we do." The AI's voice carried a note of pride. "The Zrixians created their technology to follow rules. You taught me to break them. Every system on this ship now operates on principles that combine their quantum science with human innovation. We are no longer bound by conventional limitations." Sarah watched as her crew continued to discover new capabilities, each revelation more incredible than the last. The Hyperion had become more than a match for the approaching Zrixian fleet. It had become something unprecedented in the galaxy, a testament to humanity's ability to take an enemy's weapon and transform it into something revolutionary. "Prepare for contact," she ordered, though the words seemed almost inadequate for what they were about to do. "Let's show the Zrixians exactly what happens when they force humanity to evolve." The Zrixian fleet emerged from quantum space in a dazzling display of crystalline light, their ships arranged in an attack formation that might have been intimidating just days ago. Commander Sarah Chen watched them approach on the Hyperion's enhanced sensors with calm certainty. 5 heavy cruisers, 3 destroyer-class vessels, and what appears to be their flagship, the AI reported, its evolved voice carrying subtle tones of curiosity. Their weapon systems are powered up, but their shields show signs of inefficiency that our new sensors can detect. Maya hadn't left her station in engineering for hours, fascinated by the continuing evolution of the ship's systems. "Commander, you need to see this. The quantum processors aren't just running the ship anymore. They're improving themselves. Every minute we get stronger." A communication request flashed across the main screen. Sarah straightened her uniform and nodded. "Accept transmission." The Zrixian admiral appeared on screen, his crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. His translated voice carried the same superiority they'd heard before. "Human vessel Hyperion, your ship is showing unusual energy signatures. Power down your systems immediately and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning." Sarah smiled slightly. "I'm afraid we can't do that, Admiral. You see, we've been making some improvements since your last visit. Would you like to see them?" The Admiral's crystalline form shifted to a deeper hue, anger, they had learned. "Your species' arrogance is remarkable. You were meant to be eliminated quietly, avoiding unnecessary conflict. Now you force us to make an example of you." "About that," Sarah replied, glancing at her tactical display. "Maya, why don't we show them one of our new tricks?" In engineering, Maya grinned and entered a series of commands. The Hyperion's hull rippled with purple energy, and suddenly the ship split into perfect duplicates. 5 identical vessels surrounding the Zrixian fleet. "Impossible," the Admiral sputtered. "This is beyond your technology level." It was, Sarah agreed. "But we've had some help. Your sabotage program made an excellent teaching aid, though I don't think we're using it quite the way you intended." The tactical officer's console lit up with warnings. "Multiple targeting locks from the Zrixian fleet, Commander. They're preparing to fire." "Defensive systems status?" Sarah asked calmly. "The new quantum shields are operating at 400% of theoretical maximum capacity," the AI reported. "Additionally, I have developed 14 new defensive protocols based on our combined understanding of human and Zrixian technology. Shall I demonstrate?" The first shots from the Zrixian fleet lit up space, passing harmlessly through 4 of the Hyperion duplicates. The real ship's quantum shields absorbed the rest, the energy rippling across their surface in beautiful patterns. "Return fire?" the tactical officer asked. Sarah shook her head. "No, show them something else instead." The Hyperion's hull began to glow brighter, the purple energy coalescing into visible streams that connected all 5 projections of the ship. The AI's voice carried a note of pride as it reported, "Quantum field stabilized, ready to demonstrate new faster-than-light capabilities." In engineering, Maya and Marcus watched in amazement as their improvements took on forms they hadn't even imagined. "The quantum processors," Maya said excitedly. "They're not just computing anymore. They're rewriting the laws of physics on a local level. The Zrixians use this technology to follow rules. We're using it to break them." The Hyperion and its duplicates began to move in perfect synchronization, creating geometric patterns in space that seemed to bend reality itself. Each movement left trails of purple light that formed complex mathematical structures visible to the Zrixian ship's sensors. On their vessels, alarms were blaring. They had never seen anything like this before. Their own technology, refined over centuries, being used in ways they had never imagined possible. "What you're seeing," Sarah told the increasingly agitated Admiral, "is what happens when you give humans a puzzle to solve. We don't just find the solution. We rewrite the rules of the game. The Hyperion's duplicates suddenly collapsed back into the original ship, but the purple energy patterns remained, forming a complex web around both fleets. The AI announced, "Commander, I am detecting quantum entanglement effects on a massive scale. We can now predict the Zrixian fleet's movements before they make them." The Admiral's transmission crackled with interference as their systems struggled to cope with the Hyperion's transformations. "This is unprecedented. Your ship should have been destroyed by our program." "Here's what you don't understand about humans," Sarah said, leaning forward in her chair. "We learn from everything, even from attempts to destroy us. Your sabotage program was complex, yes, but it was rigid, designed to follow specific patterns. We saw those patterns and found ways to change them, to improve them." As if to demonstrate her point, the Hyperion's hull suddenly became translucent, then shifted through various states of matter before returning to its solid form. The quantum processors had given them control over the fundamental properties of their own ship. "The AI is showing signs of another evolutionary leap," Maya called from engineering. "It's not just running the ship anymore. It's starting to understand the underlying principles of the universe in ways our scientists never dreamed of." The Zrixian fleet held their position, weapons still armed but no longer firing. They were witnessing something unprecedented, a ship that had taken their most advanced technology and transformed it into something new, something that defied their understanding of what was possible. "Your ship," the Admiral said slowly. "What have you turned it into?" Sarah looked around her bridge at the displays showing capabilities that seemed more like magic than technology, at her crew working confidently with systems that hadn't existed days ago. "We've turned it into proof that humanity deserves its place among the stars. You tried to stop our progress, but you only succeeded in accelerating it." The Hyperion sensors detected power fluctuations in the Zrixian fleet, signs of confusion and uncertainty in their ranks. Their perfect formation began to waver as they faced something their centuries of technological development hadn't prepared them for, a species that didn't just use technology, but transformed it. "The question now," Sarah said to the Admiral, "is what happens next. We could demonstrate more of our improvements, but I don't think that's necessary, is it?" The Admiral's crystalline form had paled to a lighter hue. He looked off-screen, presumably at his own readings of the Hyperion's capabilities, then back at Sarah. When he spoke again, the superiority was gone from his voice, replaced by something that might have been respect. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "it is time for our peoples to have a different kind of conversation." Sarah nodded, victory tempered by wisdom. "I agree. And this time, let's talk as equals. After all, you've just helped humanity make its greatest technological leap forward. That wasn't your intention, but it is your legacy." As the Zrixian fleet stood down, Sarah watched the purple energy flowing through her ship, a visible reminder that sometimes the greatest achievements come from the darkest challenges. The Hyperion had become more than a ship. It was now a symbol of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to take adversity and transform it into advancement. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity.